Hi, good morning. Hello, good morning, and welcome to History. You've been well. Exams. The exam is fast approaching, and we should double up with the preparation of our examination. And a new topic, but we're going to continue with the previous topic. In the previous class, we're able to talk about Nigeria and we're able to talk about UN and the roles Nigeria play in this international organization. And today we want to look at the rest of that class because I promised I was going to take the rest of the class in this class here. We're going to take the remaining class, which is peacekeeping, peacekeeping in order. That's what we want to look at today. To look at originally we're supposed to and the wider world. Since look at what was happening in Africa and the wider world in the 1800s. So the first one we're going to be taking is West and North. I said before we proceed, we are going to look at the rest of our previous topic, that is Nigeria and the peacemaking role Nigeria played in other parts of Africa. Let us delve into that quickly. Okay, this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be Nigeria in international conflict, resolution, and peacekeeping. Nigeria in international. Follow me. All right. We are going to learn majorly today. So we'll take one. So we're going to examine the role of Nigeria, Chad, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Sudan. And we're also going to establish the relationship between the Sokoto Jihad. That is the new topic now. That's what I'm talking about. And also, we're going to compare the achievements of the jihads of Sekou Amadu and Aj Umar and Ture of the Madinka Empire. So now, let us quickly take a look at Nigeria in international competition. So, Nigeria is widely recognized as one of the leading contributors to peacekeeping missions by their troops, financial resources, diplomatic mediation, and humanitarian assistance in several conflict areas in the continent. Motivated by the desire to maintain regional peace, stability, and to protect the African unity, also to promote the continent and to fulfill international responsibilities. So, like I said, Nigeria is actually involved in a lot of peacemaking processes and conflict resolution in Africa. It cuts across the financial resources and so on. So the reason they do this is simply because it sets African unity, they also continent, they also want to fulfill international responsibility and also want to maintain regional peace and economic stability. And let us take a look at the first crisis, one of the crises rather, Nigeria has mediated or actually have made have become resolved, and the crisis they've actually go into peace mission or peacekeeping mission is the Congo crisis. Congo crisis between 1960 and 1964. So the UN peacekeepers in the Republic of Congo. This is also the UN operation in the Congo. So let us talk about what happened in the Congo that makes the UN actually come to Congo and also Nigeria has to come in eventually. So now, shortly after the independence, Congo experienced political instability and civil unrest. That zone that's actually involved with a lot of political instability, and this is majorly because they have their natural resources. They have oil in the Congo, instability in their country, and it causes a lot of civil unrest. So it's going to complete. So this is the during that period. Nigeria contributed troops to the United Nations operation in the Congo. Remember what we looked at, United Nations operation, right? So Nigeria actually contributed troops from Nigeria, the United Nations operation in Congo, to help restore peace and maintain the territorial unity of Congo. This mission marked Nigeria's first major peacekeeping participation at the international level. Remember, we also got our independence in 1960. So, as a sovereign nation, this participation in the role of Nigeria in peacekeeping in Congo was one of the first major peacekeeping situation at international level as a sovereign nation. Now let us move on to the next one. Chad conflicts. Another conflict Nigeria helped to mediate or help to resolve is the Chad conflict. In Chad, they experienced prolonged political Nigeria role in the world. Nigeria played an important mediatory and diplomatic role, including post-peacekeeping. They also support a regional peace initiative and prevent the spread of the so that is the role of Nigeria in the Chad conflict. Now, the next one is Liberia Civil War. The Liberia Civil War began in 1980 spread the destruction. Their major war is simply because of political instability. So now, what is their role? Nigeria led ECOMOG. ECOMOG is Economic Community Monitoring Nation Group. They have military group, so they actually led ECOMOG peacekeeping mission, providing majority of the troops. So in ECOMOG, we have all ECOWAS country will give in their troops. So Nigeria has majority of the troops that actually led the fight in Liberia. So the majority of their troops were there. They actually contributed financially. They have military leadership in that conflict, and also the enforcement of ceasefire agreement. Nigeria's intervention helped to restore peace and democracy governance in Liberia. So now let us take a look at the next conflict here, the Sierra Leone Civil War. Sierra Leone Civil War is between 1991 to 2002. So it was led by the Revolutionary United Front, the RUF. That's the rebel in Nigeria. That's the rebel group in Nigeria. Sorry, in Sierra Leone. Sorry, it's in Sierra Leone. Nigeria's role include Nigeria again led ECOMOG in Sierra Leone. No, they led ECOMOG in Nigeria, in Liberia. They also led ECOMOG in Sierra Leone. They removed the military junta. They also restored the elected government of the President Ahmad Tijan Kaba. They also protect civilians and restore political stability in that region. The next one I'm going to be talking about is the Guinea political crisis. Nigeria supported ECOWAS effort to stabilize political crisis in Guinea by promoting democratic transition and mediation among political actors. So now the Sudan conflict, that is the Darfur crisis. The Darfur conflict, which began in 2003, involved armed clashes between government and forces of rebel groups. What is Nigeria's role in this conflict? Nigeria contributed troops again, like the AIM Union mission in Sudan, that is the AMIS, the African Union in Sudan, this is the AMIS. They also they also help United Nations, that is African Union mission in Darfur, that is UNAMI. So Nigerian forces help protect civilian and support humanitarian operation during the Darfur crisis in Sudan conflict. Now let us go to the next. Okay, now that is that for the country. Remember, beginning of the class we did not finish the other time. So let's also conclude that class properly right now. A significant role in international diplomacy through its membership in organizations such as ECOWAS, the African Union, the Commonwealth, OPEC, and United Nations. Through this institution, Nigeria promotes regional integration, economic cooperation, and Nigeria has earned international recognition for its commitment to peacekeeping and conflict resolution, particularly in Africa, by contributing through financial support, diplomatic leadership in conflicts in Congo, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Sudan. Nigeria has demonstrated its dedication to maintaining peace, security, both regionally and globally. These efforts have strengthened Nigeria's reputation as a leading power in Africa and also an important actor in international politics. So that ends that topic. So we started from ECOWAS to OPEC to Commonwealth of Nations to AU, that is African Union. Then we get to okay, that will fall we took the other time, right? And then United Nations organization till we get to the conflicts in Africa, those conflicts, and we learned that Nigeria resolve conflicts in Sierra Leone, in Liberia. They contribute their troops. They are going for mediation. They contributed financially. They going for the host peace mediation. They also the whole peace. I mentioned that they contribute their troops, and so that is that for Nigeria in international organization and peacemaking. Now let us take a look at the first topic we want to look at today. Today, we are going to look at Africa and the wider world since 1800. And the first one we are going to be looking at is the Islamic reform movement and state building in West Africa. So, under this, we are going to be taking some topics. I want to go back to the beginning of the slide so you will see the topics we are going to be taking under this, the subtopic rather, we are going to be taking under this topic. So, hold on, let me go to that part. Sorry, we get there. Okay, almost there. Almost there. Almost. So we're looking at okay, these are the okay, we'll look at the relationship between Sokoto and other jihad. We'll be looking at the art of Sheikh Muhammad and Al-Haji Umar. I'm going to be looking at the activities of the Samaru Ture. So now let us take them one after the other. All right. So in the 19th century, the 19th century witnessed significant transformation across West Africa. So it is a period whereby there is religious transformation in West Africa because of contacts with other parts of the continent and other parts of the world. The contact is mostly through trades. Those who in the Sahelian region, they were able to kind of have contacts with the people in North Africa. Now, let us move on. One of the most important development during this period was emergence of Islamic reform movement. That is exactly what we want to look at. So, during this period, there was the emergence of Islamic reform movement. You have a lot of reform movement, we commonly refer to as jihad, like that movement that led people to kind of transform, change religion. You understand? Persuade people to change religion, do things Islamically. So that's what we refer to as jihad. So these movements were led by Muslim scholars and reformers who sought to purify Islam, eliminate all Islamic practices in a particular country, in a particular region, and establish governments based on Islamic principles, that is Sharia. So this is what they are out for. So it is during this period that Africa or West Africa actually experienced this kind of transformation, whereby scholars actually want to purify a particular region. They want to eliminate un-Islamic practice and establish governments based on Islamic principles, based on Sharia law. Now let's also look at this. The reform movement also led to creation of powerful Islamic states, which transformed the political landscape of Africa. Among the most prominent of these were the Sokoto Caliphate, the Masina Empire, and the Sukulo Empire, and the Madinka Empire of the Samuru Turu. Let me take that again. So this period it actually bring about transformation in the West African landscape. So the prominent one include Sokoto Caliphate in Nigeria, the Masina Empire, the Tukulo Empire, and the Madinka Empire with Samuru Ture. So the important leader of this period associated with this development include Usman Danfodio, or the leader of Sokoto Jihad in Nigeria. Then we have Sekou Amadu, the founder of Masina Empire. We have Alhaji Omar Tol, leader of the Tukulo Empire. and we have Samori Toure, founder of the Mandinka Empire. Let's run through this quickly. This leader contributed greatly to Islamic reform, political organization, and state formation in West Africa during the 19th century. So these are the leaders that brought about change in the landscape of West Africa, transformation in the landscape of West Africa politically. They actually introduced Sharia law and actually introduced Islam in West Africa. So let us take a look at the first one, which is the Sokoto jihad and its relationship with other jihads in West Africa. Let us take a look at the background of Sokoto jihad. This is not a new topic to us. We actually took it earlier when we were talking about formation of states in in Africa, right? So now let us take a look at this. The Sokoto jihad was led at Usman Danfodio, of course, between 1804 and 1818 in present-day northern Nigeria. Usman Danfodio was a Fulani Islamic scholar, is a teacher, and is a reformer who criticized the Hausa rulers for corruption, oppression, and practice of un-Islamic tradition. His movement led to overthrow the Hausa kingdoms and the establishment of the Sokoto Caliphate, one of the largest Islamic empires in Africa. So before um, Islam, there are Hausa kingdoms that were going like that were established that we actually we have Hausa we have Hausa kingdom before the contact with Islam. So during this period, this scholar also look see that this Hausa kingdom they're actually doing un-Islamic practice, they're corrupt, they're oppressed, they are most of them are tyrants. So he now introduced this Islamic Sharia law, Islamic principle of leadership. So he did that through conquest. It's actually you actually conquer a lot of Hausa, traditional Hausa kingdom, and he installed mostly emirates of this kingdom. So in that way, they actually practice the Sharia law. So causes of the Sokoto jihad: one, religious corruption among Hausa rulers. I mentioned that mixing Islamic practices with traditional beliefs, oppression and heavy taxation imposed by rulers, the desire to spread pure Islamic teaching, and Fulani's affiliation with the Hausa political control. That is the um, causes of Sokoto jihad. Now let us continue. Let us look at the relationship with relationship the Sokoto jihad and the relationship with other jihad in West Africa. And let us look at the Sokoto achievement, Sokoto jihad achievement. They eventually established the Sokoto Caliphate, the expansion of Islamic education, the introduction of Sharia law in government, the strengthening the trade network in West Africa. They also um, bring about political unity in many outer states. That's why we have the Sokoto Caliphate, right? So the relationship between Sokoto and other jihad. So the Sokoto jihad inspired several other Islamic reform movements across West Africa. So this includes the relationship includes the following: the religious inspiration. Many jihad leaders were influenced by the teachings and sources of Islam portfolio. So they have similar objectives to do what? Glorify Islam, establish Islamic government, and reform corrupt societies. The Fulani leadership. Many jihad leaders were Fulani scholars, similarly to Osman Danfodio. So another thing they do, the relationship is so another relationship is that political transformation. The jihad resulted in the creation of new Islamic states across West Africa. Another one is the spread of Islamic scholarship. Islamic education expanded through networks created by this reform movement. And let us move on. So now let us take a look at another jihad, which is another reform, which is reform movement. Islamic reform. This is the jihad of Sekou Amadu, that is the Masina Empire. Sekou Amadu was a Fulani Islamic scholar who sought to establish an Islamic state in the Masina region of the Niger Delta, inland delta of the Niger River. So after a successful year, he founded the Masina Empire when its capital is Amudulai. Achievement of the Sekou Amadu. One, he established the Masina Islamic State, creation of Islamic administrative system, promotion of Islamic scholarship and education, enforcement of Islamic law, as Sharia, and establishment of the agricultural reform in the Niger Delta region. That is for the Masina Empire. The next Islamic reform movement is the Jihad of the Al-Hajj Umar Tol Sukulu Empire. Sukulu Empire was led by Umar Tol, who was also known as Al-Hajj Umar Tor. He was a Muslim scholar and a military leader who launched the jihad in the mid-19th century. Let us take a look at his background. Al-Hajj Umar Tor was influenced by Islamic movement by his pilgrimage to Mecca. After returning from Mecca, he organized a jihad that led to the creation of the Tukolo Empire in parts of Senegal, Mali, and Guinea. What are his achievements? He established the Tukolo Empire. One, he established the Tukolo Empire. One, he expanded Islamic influence across Africa. Two, he strengthened Islamic political authority. Three, he also spread Islamic education. Four, military expansion of the empire. So that is Tukulo. So Tukulo, and that is a same thing is also Umar Uto. He led jihad and he spread the empire to parts of Senegal, Mali, and Guinea. So now let us take a look at the comparison between achievement of Sekou Amadou and Alhaji Umar. So let us take a look at that quickly. Sekou Amadou and Alhaji Umar Tour. Sekou Amadu founded the Masina Empire and Alhaji Umar Tour founded the Tukolo Empire. He focused mainly on religious reform, whereas he focused mainly on reform and military expansion. And also, Sekou Amadu promoted agricultural development, and while Alhaji Umar Tour focused on territorial conquest. Um, the capital of the Sekou Amadu Riyadh was Hamdullah. That is, while that of Alhaji Umar was his empire expanded across Senegal and Mali. So he emphasized Islamic scholarship and governance, while he emphasized military jihad and political expansion. Now, this is take home for both of these leaders. Both leaders promoted Islamic reform, established Islamic states, and strengthened Islamic education and administration. This is their similarities. We talked about their achievements and their different, and we compare their differences and their similarities. Now, let us um, continue. The fourth one is the activities of Samaru today. Toure. So Samaru Toure was a powerful West African ruler and a military leader who founded the Wasula Madinka Empire in the late 19th century. He ruled between 1817 to 1898 in regions covering the present-day Guinea, Mali, Ivory Coast, and Sierra Leone. As mate of Samaru Toure, he established the Madinka Wasulu Empire. Samaria today built a powerful empire through military expansion and effective administration. Resistance, another aspect of it is like resistance to French colonial expansion. He is best known for resisting French colonial conquest for many years. Military organization, Samara organized a well-trained army equipped with modern firearms. Fourth activities is administration reforms. He created a centralized government to manage in expanding territories. He spread Islam, that's another activities of his. Samari promoted Islamic practices with his empire. The third one is that he uses guerrilla warfare. When faced with superior French military forces, he used guerrilla warfare tactics. Seven is that he captured the French. Samara Toure was eventually captured by French in 1898, leading to his collapse of his empire. So let's take note of the date. Samara Toure's activities between 1870 and 1880, 1898. So um, please let's take note of the dates. The Usman Danfodio jihad began in the northern part of Nigeria between 1804 to 1808. So let us take note of um, these dates, right? This is highly important we take note of the dates. So now let us move on to this Islamic reform movement and state building in West Africa. So let us look at the significance of Islamic reform movements in West Africa. So, the significance of the Islamic movements in West Africa, the jihads and reform movements are several important factors. In further effect, their impacts include it leads to the spread of Islam across West Africa. It also leads to the establishment of large Islamic empires. It also leads to the expansion of Islamic education and scholarship. It also leads to the political organization of West African society and also strengthening the trade and economic network. So that is that on Islamic reform. They not only include Islamic reform movements played a crucial role in shaping the political, religious, and social development in West Africa during the 19th century. Hajj Umar Tour and Samori Toure through regional and resistance to external domination. The Sokoto Jihad served as reform movement, leading to the creation of several Islamic states. Similarly, Samoa showed resistance to French colonial expansion, demonstrated the declaration of African leaders to defend their independence. This movement remained significant in African history because they contributed to several for the spread of Islam, the development of organized states, and the shaping of modern political structure in West Africa. So that is it. So we learned today that the transformation of Islam reform movement led to transformation of the West African political space. So it bring about the creation of Islamic empires, which actually changed the the landscape of the West Africa. So it's bring about religious reform, state building, and resistance to external domination, that is colonial powers. Now, remember that it was the Usman Dan Fodio jihadists like Siku Amadu, Alhaji Malto, and Samuel Tsuri. Now, let us continue and take our quiz quickly before we go today. So, one of the most to read the quiz out and I'll answer them. So, one of the reasons for the Sokoto Jihad was the collapse of trade, B, corruption of outside rulers, C, expansion of Christianity, D, discovery of gold. One of the reasons for jihad was that Sokoto jihad was that B, the corruption of outside rulers. Number two, the 19th century Islamic reform movement in northern Nigeria was led by who? Is it Sekou Amadu, Samori Toure, is it Usman Danfodio, or is it Alhaj Umar? So that is the Usman Danfodio in northern Nigeria. Now let us take a look at three. Unlike Sekou Amadu, Alhaj Umar its expansion and cultural Alhaj Umar Alhaj Umar was mainly known for military expansion. One similarity between Sekou Amadu and Alhaji Umar was that promoted Islamic reform, which established as a group of Nigeria. So we have B, so they promoted Islamic reform. Number five, unlike Sekou Amadu, Alhaji Umar was known mainly for military expansion, agricultural reform, mining activities. Number five is A, military expansion. Number six, Samuel Osure's to against French guerrilla warfare. So he uses guerrilla warfare. Number seven, Samuel Osuere was captured by French when? When was he captured by French? He was captured by French in 1898. Now let us move to number eight. The capture of Samuel Osuere led to the expansion of the empire, collapse of the Wasulu Empire, growth of the Islamic reform, influence of Guinea, collapse of the Wasulu. Islamic reform movements in West Africa were mainly led by who? European scholars, Muslim scholars, colonial especially Christian missionary. It was led by 10. The major objective of the jihad in West Africa was to purify Islamic practices, abolish is to establish Quran, is to so that is all we have for today. I hope you learned something. If you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box. Thank you very much for coming to class, and do have a lovely day. Thank you.